Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you all. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal, and I'm so grateful that you have been joining me on this journey. I've been getting so much feedback and so much conversations that are going on about the content that we're sharing here, and that it's helping you guys in different ways. Now, everyone that kind of follows me, or if you're in the pink tank, know that I love interviewing women entrepreneurs. And I love the fact that they're sharing their genius and they're showing up for their tribes and doing what they feel called to doing. But what I want to talk about is really, how do we connect as women entrepreneurs? Sometimes you may feel like you're alone, you're in your own little world and you're doing your little bit, but you want to connect with other people, other like-minded women, other women that may be a few steps ahead of you that you can learn from. And what I've been really talking about lately is networking and the importance of networking. Now, with this online networking, it's been actually very, very amazing for me, because as I was doing networking before, I'd have to go into different groups, and that was taking up a lot of time in terms of how many networking opportunities could I go to in a week where I wasn't taking away from my business. So online networking is one of the best, quickest ways for you to be able to connect with others. Know that you can do referrals and help each other grow. And the reason I'm talking about this before I introduce my amazing guest, Suzanne, is because that's how I met her. And this wouldn't have happened, this connection wouldn't have taken place had I not been able to connect with her on an online networking event that another group leader was holding. So this is why it's so important for us to connect in different ways and build these relationships. We can collaborate, we can have joint ventures, and we can actually help each other grow and build really good relationships and very strong friendships as well. So let me bring her on without further ado so that we can start this conversation, because I believe that she is going to share with us some things that we may not know, but I want her to share her genius and how she's helping her tribe. So let's bring her on now. Hey, Suzanne, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so appreciative of your time.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. You know what? Before we get started, and I'm so excited because I have met you through networking, and I think it's such an important way to connect, especially with women business owners and different things that are going on online right now. But I want you to kind of tell us your story. Like, where did you start? How did you get to doing what you're doing? Just so we can have a framework to work around.
Sure. The whole networking thing, as you were talking about it, I could talk this whole time probably about networking, because I've just always loved networking so much and have found a couple of different resources for that I think are just amazing. And it's something that I talk a lot about in my coaching and in my courses. But you really want to hear about my story and my background and how I got to where I am. So I'll start from the very beginning, that I've always loved the salon industry ever since I can remember. When I was a little girl, I was, how many more days till my birthday, or how many more days till I was the little girl who was like, how many more days until we get to go visit the salon again? I loved it. And the salon owner where we went, her name was BJ. And I remember, as kids do, playing with the salon chair. And she said, if you break that chair, you're going to be here for a very long time cleaning combs and brushes to pay for it. That was her go-to to try to get kids to quit doing that. And I tried like everything to break the chair, because I thought I could hang out here and wash combs and brushes, which later, of course, became like my least favorite job. But so I always knew, I've always had a love for the industry, and that love has just evolved and changed over the years. So fast forward to then I'm 18. As soon as I'm 18, I start beauty school at that point. And so here we are 27 years later. I know I just gave away my age, but and I still absolutely love the industry. My passion has just shifted more to education instead of working in the salon as a practitioner. So that started early on too. I was a color educator early on in my career. I worked for a couple of different color companies, and I loved that. I was a salon consultant for a distributor. I got to a point in my life where I couldn't do the traveling as much. And so I went back to working in the salon full time. But even when I stepped away from doing the salon consultant for a distributor at that time, which was in the year 2000, I wanted to start a consulting business at that time, because that was the part of it that I loved so much. Not so much the sales part of it, but just helping salon owners and coaching practitioners and how to better their business. But that was kind of before the power of the internet, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it at that time. And timing is everything, because I really needed the 20 more years of experience in order to be able to know enough, and for people to feel like I had enough experience that that became my superpower. So the last couple of years in my practice, I started an apprenticeship program, and that just filled up my cup so much more than the actual practical part of the business and I just, helping one at a time just wasn't enough. It's like, oh my gosh, there's things about the business that I want to have improve and change our numbers and our statistics and our success rate and those things. And you know how they say, like, be the change that you want to see. And so I had this burning desire for a really long time to do those things. And then you have that inner voice. It's like that, on both shoulders saying, like, you could never do it. And then like this constant pull, like a magnetic pull constantly of like, you need to do this. You need to do this. This is your message. And you have a story that needs to be told. And you can change the world really by like one salon professional at a time. So I just couldn't ignore the voice anymore. The pull was so strong, and some things were happening at the same time too. It's like when you're being called to do something, other things that are standing in your way have a way of eliminating themselves, and doors keep opening. And so that just kept happening. My body was starting to tell me, like, you can't work in the salon for the next 27 years at this level. You're going to have to figure out something else. So, I started working on getting Be Salon Savvy up and running a couple of years ago while I was still working my practice at the same time. And then I took the final leap at the end of 2019 and committed to Be Salon Savvy full time. And the timing has been very interesting because, as we all know, 3 months later, COVID hit, and it changed things exponentially for what the need in the industry was. And so, but the industry in itself is about change and rolling with that. And so here we are halfway through 2020, and there's a lot of negative stuff out there because of how 2020 has been unfolding. But I'm so passionate about this business and helping others that I'm happy, and I love what I'm doing. And what better time to try to make a difference in this industry? There are people in this industry that need help more than ever. Really, I mean, I don't want to downplay the other industries that have been hit, the restaurant industry and things like that. But the salon industry has been hit very hard. And we're just all trying to work together to figure that out.
So I want you to kind of elaborate on this, because this was something that I learned from you last week, or whenever we spoke. I think it was about a week ago. The salon industry. Can you kind of define that a little bit more for me? Because I think of one thing when you say salon.
Yeah. And I've actually thought about going in and making like my own glossary or dictionary, because a lot of that's what I learned when I talk to people that aren't part of the salon industry. The verbiage, sometimes they're like, I don't like practitioner. When I use that word, they're like, I don't get that. But so in the salon industry, you have salon professionals that wear several different hats. They could be a salon owner that they just run the business. Okay. And then you have practitioners of all kinds that are either they do hair, or they do nails, or they're a facial tech, or they specialize in lashes. there's a plethora of different titles, if you will, and some people have more than one title. They practice doing hair and facials, or some people practice even that can cross over into massage. You know, all the spa treatments that I could list. Those are all practices within the salon industry. And then, you know, outside of being a practitioner, you have in the salon industry a plethora of type of like educators, and you know, whether they're teaching color or cutting, or so the industry in itself is and I've always said it's its own animal. Like, it's apples to oranges to compare how business is run in the salon industry in comparison to whatever other industry that you want to pick. But does that help answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give kind of like an overview of what that term covers.
That salon just doesn't mean hair salon. Like, it's nails, lashes, it's, you know, there's so many different things that can go into that whole industry, right? In terms of how or how people are being served for whatever services that they are requiring. I want to sort of talk about, so you're genius, because obviously you have a ton of experience in the different areas that you talked about, but can you now tell me sort of how you help people that would come to you? Maybe, you know, I know you have like the 3 areas that you kind of go through with them, or depending on where they're at. Can you kind of walk me through that?
Yeah, I feel like that was the best way to deliver the best help to each individual, is first figuring out, I feel as though every salon professional falls into one of 3 categories. And those 3 categories are, you're just getting started and looking to really wind up your career. Then there's the second category, where I call that like a seasoned salon professional, where you've wound up the career. Now you're looking to scale the business, or just figure out how to get to the next level. There's something that we need to find the missing link for you. And then there's the third category, which has been very busy lately. Again, going back to our current events with COVID. And that category is the people that are looking to wind down their career for one reason or another. And either they're looking to make a shift, maybe they're looking to get into some form of education, or they're looking to actually transition out of the industry altogether, which is fine. And that's the hard part, is that category, people, there's this like guilt and shame and different things that are connected to that. And it shouldn't be that way, because I think all of us as coaches believe like you need to be doing what you're passionate about. And I always say to people, if you're being called to do something else and you're ignoring that, which I can speak from experience, I have a hashtag, do as I say, not as I do, that you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the world a disservice, because there's a reason that you're being called. So those are the 3 categories. And then we decide which type of coaching is the best fit for you, because as we all know, people learn differently. And so whether that is one-to-one coaching, which I'm more than happy to do, and then a group type coaching, like a mastermind group. And then the third is the course that I've created, where it's an evergreen. It's at your own pace. You can download or listen to the course on your own, and you kind of don't have the feedback but I mean, a lot of people don't want to be in a Zoom call with a group of people, or
right. And like you said, right, people learn differently. And the fact that you're offering these different various ways of getting the information, I think it's very productive for the person taking it on, because then they can choose what works for them. You know,
Right.
I love the idea of the group coaching. I mean, I do that as well. And I find that, you know, there's accountability built in there. There's also the idea of sharing information, and, you know, you learn from others of what maybe something's worked for someone else. And you're like, oh, I never thought of that. You know, stuff like this where you build. And the other side of group coaching I really love is the building of relationships and the network. Your network gets bigger, and you are sort of more apt to meeting other like-minded individuals that are in this group, right? So I love that. And I love the fact that you're offering different ways, because I think people need that right now in what's going on out there, whether they're self-learners or group learners or individual learners. The whole idea is to make it accessible for those people that need it. And I know right now with, you know, the salon industry has been hit really, really hard. I'm sure there are people out there reaching out to you that sort of want that, not just the guidance, but also sort of, it's okay, I've been there, like I can guide you through this, and just that level of support that you don't feel like you're alone, you know, where an industry is getting all this bad negative news and stuff that's not working, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing about the learning thing is, I'll just touch on that for a minute. When I was, like I said, early in my career, and I was at, they call it like training the trainer, when I was doing color education, I went through this whole thing of like learning, trying to figure out how people learn. And so we did this self-assessment test on how we learn and stuff. And it was a huge aha moment for me. I will admit I struggled all through school, all through high school. You know, I was an average student at best. And in that class, I learned that no wonder I struggled so bad. The way that the learning system was set up at that time was not the way that I learned. And so it's like, oh my gosh, if we would have known this early on when I was in grade school, it would have changed everything for me all through school. So that has stuck with me ever since then, is that not everybody learns the same, and we can't expect to just put it in a box. Like, this is how it's delivered. You'll only reach a percentage of people that way. So.
And it's funny you bring that up, because I've just been certified in personality coding technology, in terms of figuring it out, your client, your avatar, whatever, that person that you're dealing with, if you can understand their buying behavior, what values that they hold most important, then you can craft your message to meet them where they're at, because everybody talks differently or has different values that they're attached to. And if you can't sort of understand their perspective, it's difficult to deliver anything to them where they will be able to actually comprehend it and make that next decision of what's best for them. So it's really interesting that you bring that, like learning behaviors and teaching styles, and then having that whole personality thing, you know, knowing who they are, what's important. Then we're able to kind of make that transformation, make that next step of learning go better. So it's beautiful.
So after we met and I looked at your website and everything, I saw that, and I took the quiz and went through it, and I think that's why we made a connection so easily, is because I have a big belief system around that type of stuff. It's really important.
Exactly. And I think that, you know, like as business owners, and we're learning, right? We're all learning and growing. And as we have to pivot sometimes our businesses or what we really feel like we need to do for whatever it is that's being called. Like, we're called to do something, and then we have to pivot that because something else is happening, which we have to react to, which would be COVID. Right now, it's, you know, that's one of the biggest topics right out there. So I'm so honored that you've come to share. How can we help you? Like, I know there's people watching, people that are on replay. I ask people to share your message because I believe that, you know, your message needs to be heard. You're helping a certain group of people that need this level of service and help.
Well, I appreciate you asking that. So I always say everybody knows somebody that is in the salon industry. Like, I've not been able to find one person who's like, I don't know anybody that works in the salon industry. And like you said, most of the time they're going to think of their hairdresser. And we kind of covered that it can be, from spa treatments to nails, pedicures. So, which that's a spa treatment. So my website is bsalonsavvy.com. Feel free to visit that and learn more. The other place that I share a lot of content, free content and stuff, is on Facebook. So that is also Be Salon Savvy. And just ask the salon professional that you know, and whether it's a service provider that you have had appointments with before, or again, if somebody usually has a niece that's in beauty school, or a neighbor that is going to be graduating from high school and has stated that they're wanting to go into the salon industry, just ask them to like and follow the Facebook page. From that point, like I said, as far as like figuring out which category, I have different private groups that we can place, you can join. And then at some point when you see that there's a need, that there's a course that fits, or they see a webinar that fits. And so right now I don't have a lot of in salon classes or masterminds in selected cities. All of those things had to be canceled. And but I really look forward to when things are available and open, being able to schedule those again. Like I said, for a while was in a place in my life where I couldn't travel, so I stepped away from educating. Now I'm in a place in my life where I can travel and love to travel. And so if you're somebody who wants to be a host salon, or would love to get some salons together and have a mastermind, a full day workshop, please reach out to me. I would be more than happy to try to get something on the calendar. Of course, a few months out, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
But by then, so those are really the ways. Visit the website. You can sign up for the 30-day challenge that I have. I'm a big believer in everybody should do the 30-day challenge. And then we can, like I said, if you want to join a certain group that fits your category. So
that's amazing. You know what? I think the idea of groups and, sort of building that network, having the ability to have access to you and the information as you're sharing, because it builds up a level of trust and knowledge that you're sharing. And when people are ready, right? It's usually when you're looking for something, or something is not working, where you say, I'm gonna go look for some solution, is when you begin to see like, oh, this group is handling this particular issue, or this group is answering this very question that I want to answer. So I think it's a great way to connect and start with the resources that are there, and seeing how that fits in their life. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think at this point in time, people need to build a relationship before they sort of pull that trigger and say, you're the one I'm going to work with. But once you build that and you have that knowledge that, this person really gets me, or gets the problems I'm going through, then you're able to take that next step. So I think this is really important in terms of being parts of groups that will, foster those relationships. So thank you so much for that. Now, last thing before we end, if you have any parting words for our group, moving forward.
Oh, wow. I could probably share all kinds of of tidbits. Like I said, when we started, the whole networking thing is so powerful. And like you were saying, in the salon industry, to try to have an outreach, somebody that you can connect with. There's a funny thing in the salon industry, like I was saying, where our own animal that's different from there's this competition thing, or probably the people that are in your same town, your network, you have to kind of be secretive. If you're looking to open up your own salon, or you're looking to move salons, or you're having a problem or a concern, like there's this thing where you kind of have to hide it. that's the beauty of joining a group or a mastermind online. And you say like you attract the like-minded people. You find a group that is struggling with the same things that you're struggling, and you don't have to be secretive about it because they're not from your same town, and rumors get started and just anyways. So for that reason, it's one of the best ways to seek help and get guidance on some of the business decisions that you're struggling with. So I would say that's one of the call to action. And then as far as the tip of the day is that one of the things that I teach in all of my courses, whether you're in whichever category, is to know your why. What is your why? And it's different for everybody else. That's not something that I can teach or tell you. I can give you the tools on trying to figure out and get to the bottom of what your why is. And then one of those biggest tools is, I always say, like, you have to have quiet time to figure out what it is. There's so much going on all the time. We're integrated with information constantly, but carve out some quiet time, whether it's that you go for a walk every day and you're not listening to anything, like just in your own head. And you kind of touched on it earlier, where no matter if we're coaches or all of us are learning all the time. We're improving, we're sharpening the saw, so to speak. I'm stealing that term from somebody else, but never just always be looking for that way to improve your skills and add tools to your toolbox. So those are my final tips.
No, I think that's amazing. The knowing your why is like, something that really does take time, but once you connect to it, the passion that, how they say, follow your passion, find that fire that's within you. But when you don't know your why and it's sort of a bit foggy, the passion doesn't resonate then, right? You're not as passionate. You're not ready to get up and run because you're so in tuned to that why. And I think that's such an important thing in any business, in your business, in coaching, to figure that out first, which is the foundational piece. And then you build on that, because then you know exactly when things go wrong to say, remember that why. Because we do pivot. We do have to learn from some things don't always go the way that we plan on going. But when you're connected to your why, those struggles just make it that much more easier for us to continue the path. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your genius. I love your energy. I know we've had a couple of comments that you're amazing. So thank you
Thank you.
I'll welcome you anytime you want to have a conversation again, back on the show. And I wish you a wonderful day, and thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very privileged.
Awesome. I'll see you soon. Thank you, Susan.
All right. Yes.
Right. So as you saw, this was an amazing interview with somebody who's very passionate, who's very connected to her why, and very clear on the message that she has for the people that are in the salon industry in the different categories of how you can get clarity or where you're going, how you can get a coach to help you get to where you need to get to. So reach out to her on her Facebook page, on thesalonsavvy.com, on her website, and seek the help. Just sometimes it's just a matter of reaching out and finding, there's answers there that you perhaps were struggling with. So I encourage you to do that. I also just want to, as I end this, remind you that we are actually, Anne-Marie and I are doing a live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Friday in the Pink Tank, where we are going to be announcing a huge networking opportunity where we want to bring like-minded women, entrepreneurs together so we can collaborate, we can talk about joint ventures, and get some solid referrals for your business. So join us tomorrow night at 8 as we reveal the networking opportunity that we're working on, and we're really excited about that. So as I end today, I just want to remind you, remember to be kind to yourself and to others, and I'll see you tomorrow with Dr. Cheryl Bryant Bruce at 10 a.m.